leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. Any leadership that teaches you to depend upon another race is a leadership that will enslave you. They gave leadership to our foreparents, and that leadership made them slaves. But we have decided to find a leadership of our own.
You know. Not your average nigga, I'm a guy out the hood. They can't downplay me. I came up, I'm elevated. I ain't gotta say too much for them to know I'm coming for what's mine. You know they see me in my presence, say they see how I'm coming. Young, but you not just gonna finesse me like you did my peoples. Then back when you said they was emancipated. This ain't that. Your head too big, you feeling yourself. The game wasn't fair, you had the advantage, we wasn't educated. I don't look at you people the same. Nah. Your worst nightmare, my skin tone about them chains. Yeah. Not no circus lion, son, I can't be tamed. You gon' have to kill me, pussy, Toby ain't my name. Y'all still want us think our history started when we were slaves? What? Come on now, talk about them pyramids we made. I was chosen by that man, you know y'all just been running game. The nerve of you acting like...
Peace, family, and welcome back to another powerful episode of Shifting the Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Brother King Cam, and this is where we speak truth to power, elevate the people, and challenge the narrative, family. So listen, make sure that you all are tuning in. Appreciate y'all for coming through, man. We haven't been live on the podcast for about two weeks now. It's been about 2 weeks. Since we've been live on the podcast, man. So I need everybody to share this out. Appreciate you for coming through. I need everybody to share this out. We are in the building tonight on Shifting the Culture, family. It's good to be back. We got so much to discuss. We got a lot to discuss tonight. So I need you to share this out. I need you to hit Instagram. I need my Instagram people. Y'all already know that we're going to be uploading the clips in the next couple of days from the podcast. But everybody that's watching us live on YouTube, Facebook, I need you to like, share, subscribe. I need you to make sure that you share this out, and let's make sure that we get as many people in the building tonight as possible. We're going to be discussing several things. I do want to hit on, first of all, we want to talk about President Barack Obama and his recent statements that he made around boys needing gay mentorship. We're going to get right into that because that's something that we need to discuss, as well as Dr. I think her name is Cheyenne Bryant, and, you know, her recent comments around her relationship status. You know, she's popping up all over the internet, building up this platform, you know, giving advice, giving, you know, women advice and things like that on relationships, you know, but is her bag all the way together? That's a lot that we gotta. That's a lot that we gotta jump into, right? So let's first, like I said, let's make sure that we are doing our thing on Facebook and getting everybody tapped in on what we got going on. So I'm gonna share this out. I'm gonna share this out in a couple of different groups, and then we're gonna jump right into the conversation tonight, family. So let me do that. Bam. Do that. Give y'all some time to jump in here. And boom, boom. Yeah. And I love President Obama, man, and Auntie Michelle. You know, no matter what they say, that's Auntie and them. They like extended family, even though they be tripping. They extended family. But once we hear this clip, which I know y'all done already heard, it's been circulating the internet, how President Obama said that black boys need to have a gay man for mentorship. That right there is something we got to talk about, because I don't know about that one. So let's see. Let's go ahead and get this pulled up. How do I want to do this? Fam, how do I want to do this? I'm going to do this like this. All right, so if I pull it up that way, you won't be able to hear it. So let me do it like this. Let's listen to President Obama. Here we go. President Obama, y'all.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out of line, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or what have you, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in this.
So Obama said the straight father isn't enough to raise a boy child.
Right. Thank you, sis. And shout out to Pink Book Lessons for the clip. Shout out to Pink Book Lessons for the clip. So y'all heard it right there. President Barack Obama. And earlier too, which you didn't hear it in this clip, but earlier President Obama mentioned the fact that, like, if you have, I don't want to say his words wrong, I don't want to misquote the man, but basically he was saying even if you have a father in your life or a positive male role model, that's not enough. You need to have that gay influence, the gay mentorship, a gay man to help you with empathy and all those different things like that. Let me see if I can find it where he mentioned that earlier, because I want y'all to hear that. And let's see, that's 38 seconds. That's probably not it. I got it on my Instagram too, so y'all can definitely check it out on Instagram. Let me see if this one. Nope, they just gonna start it right there. But I got the full clip on my Instagram, so we're not gonna waste time on that. But I got the full clip on my Instagram, and basically having a father figure, having a heterosexual role model isn't enough. You have to have a homosexual role model in your life as a black man. And there's nothing wrong with having a homosexual friend. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's what y'all want to do, that's what y'all like to do, there's nothing wrong with having somebody in your friend circle that's gay. Nothing wrong with that at all. There is nothing wrong with, and it should happen. This should happen as black boys, as boys in general. You should be exposed to different ideologies, different cultures, different ways of life, different thinking, so that you can develop empathy, so that you can develop compassion, so that you can develop discipline, so that you can develop all the things that's necessary and important in the balance of being and becoming a man. Agree with that 100%. These things have to be properly guided, though. These things have to be properly guided, properly understood, but mentorship isn't based on your sexual orientation. Mentorship is not based on your sexual orientation. So whether you're gay or not has nothing to do with your ability to be able to mentor a boy into a man. If you're a man, whether you're gay or not, you still understand the principles, the foundations that all young boys need when it comes to growing up and being a man. So your sexual orientation has nothing to do with that. So with that, from that perspective, President Obama, and the underlying message, what he was saying is absolutely correct. I just don't understand or really resonate with the idea of the prime example that he used was the fact that he stated not about him having a gay professor, because that's cool. The issue that I took with the statement was when he went into the fact that you need to have you need to have a gay friend in your friend circle. You need to have one. So that if you got another friend that may be homosexual, then they can say, okay, I got somebody to talk to. I'm not struggling with this alone, type of thing. That's not a necessity. And when you hear him talk about it as if it's a necessity, now it's coming off as you trying to force an agenda and trying to normalize an ideology. That's what is coming off and coming across as when you set it up like that. No, there's nothing wrong with somebody who is gay mentoring young black boys, right? Because you have, more than likely, you have several examples of that throughout history. One of the most famous is James Baldwin. James Baldwin was a homosexual man, but you wouldn't know that because he didn't go around discussing his sexual orientation. His whole presentation, his whole mindset, his setup, his what he stood on was fighting against white supremacy and the upliftment and the empowerment of black people. So nobody could care less about what James Baldwin's sexual orientation was, and he was more than capable of mentoring young black boys and still mentors young black boys to this day, even though he's not among us anymore, obviously. But his work and what he's done in the struggle, in the movement, is a work that should be studied, is a work that is studied and shapes the black minds of young black leadership today. So there's nothing wrong with a homosexual black man being a mentor or even a role model to a certain extent, because it's completely possible. But when you center the conversation around the sexual orientation and not the mentorship and the principles and the development and the upliftment, then that's when you get into pushing an agenda. And I think that's what President Barack Obama was doing. Now, I don't know if he was doing it intentionally. I don't know if he was paid to come on the show and do that, because it's on his wife's podcast. He's on his wife's podcast, his wife and his brother-in-law's podcast. And then, of course, you know, them being a part of the Democratic Party, you understand that the Democrats push this ideology. That's their ideology, normalizing homosexuality, transgender, all of those different things that they like to get into. And I just don't think that all of that's necessary if the discussion is about mentorship and the growth and development of young black men. I don't think that part is necessary. I don't think sexual orientation is a necessary part of the conversation if we're talking about growth and development of young black men, because it's necessary that our young black men get mentorship, whether it's from a homosexual black man, whether it's from heterosexual black men. It's about being a man, because there are certain things that constitute the development as a boy into a man that has nothing to do with sexual orientation. Accountability, responsibility, making your word bond, discipline. None of these things correlate with sexual orientation. Legacy, independence, provider, maintainer, producer. All of these things have nothing to do with your sexual orientation. You have plenty of homosexual black men who understand those concepts and can do a hell of a job in mentoring young black men. But let's not center the conversation around homosexuality as if that's necessary for your friend circle, because it's not necessary for your friend circle. There's nothing wrong with it, but it ain't necessary. To each his own. You know, if that's what y'all into, that's fine. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you set it up like, and I'm looking at some of these titles on YouTube, every boy needs a gay friend. And that's the way that President Obama set it up. I'm like, come on, really? No, everybody don't need a gay friend. You don't need one. You can have one. And in this day and age, in 2025, more than likely, you're gonna probably have one. You know? But you treat everybody with respect. You treat people how you want to be treated. But you stand on the principle that you believe in. And don't let anybody force you into accepting anything. And that's another part of being a man. As a man, you don't have to accept everything that somebody give you. That doesn't mean be disrespectful. That doesn't mean be distasteful. That doesn't mean discriminate. That doesn't mean any of those things. But as a man, you got to set up your own principles and the things that you stand on that regulate your life, your pillars, right? What's important to you. And that's how you operate. And as men, you set these things up with your friend group, and within your friend group, right? With the people that's in your circle and things like that. Y'all not going to agree on the same things. But the beautiful thing about it is everybody know where everybody stand. And as a man, you can move and operate within different circles. You can move and operate. You can maneuver within different circles, and you don't have to accept everything that everybody has. Just like other men don't have to accept everything that you have and you present. But the beautiful thing about it is that we can coexist and we can communicate. We can argue in the best of manners, as the Quran says, on truth. And we can continue to navigate in a civilized and dignified manner. See? It don't got to get nasty. It don't got to be a knockdown, drag out argument. It don't have to be none of that just because we don't agree. But let's stop putting the ideas out there, President Obama, that you have to accept homosexuality as a lifestyle in order for you to be a well-rounded individual. No, you should be informed about homosexuality at a certain point as a lifestyle. And in your growth and development as a man, whatever you decide that you accept out of that and don't accept out of that, that's your prerogative, that's your right. You can voice that, you can present that in a manner that's not offensive to other people, and then continue to move through life as a man. That's what you do. And it's not just centered around homosexuality, but it's around all topics or lifestyles or ideologies. This holds true for Christianity. This holds true for any other religion. This holds true for diet. This holds true for so many different things. But let's not center the conversation around homosexuality, though. That's where it get crazy. You understand? That's where it gets crazy. Because it's like, all right, man, why do we have to, why we got to be accepting, why we got to accept that? You know? So, President Obama was off the chain for that one. I'm like, oh, okay. So that's what we doing now? Like we just gonna pump homosexuality into the hearts and minds of the people like that. But again, that's one of those Democratic agendas, right? That's part of the Democratic agenda, which is to push these narratives down on the people in subtle ways. You understand? Like Democrats is always covert. They never overt. They always been covert with their white supremacy, homosexual ideology that they try to slip in so many different ways. They try to intertwine it into civil rights, and they try to slip it in behind Juneteenth, and they just try to always manipulate and find a way to put that in there somewhere. And it's like, why you got to try so hard? It's just like, why do you got to try so hard? Anybody that's trying hard to do something, you can tell that it's not organic. You can tell that it's not real. You can tell that it's being forced. So that's not necessary for the growth and development of young black men. Okay? Just not necessary. So now let's get to Dr. Bryant. Let's get to Dr. Bryant. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. Now, what made me want to discuss her, let me pull this up. It's good to have context as to why we discussing somebody. But the reason why we wanted to talk about Dr. Bryant, she's a psychologist. She's also, I believe, she's the producer for Teen Moms, right? So let me get this up. Okay, so this is Dr. Bryant, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. I think one of her biggest moments, if people don't know about her being the producer of Teen Mom I think it's MTV, not MTV, VH1, one of them two. If you don't know about her being the producer of that show, I think her biggest moments came where she was on Nick Cannon's podcast as well as Cam Newton's podcast. And she was addressing them about creating and developing broken homes because of the amount of children that they have with multiple women. And those podcast clips went like super viral and stuff like that. So she really started to develop a brand outside of, what she's already done with the TV shows and things like that. So most recently, though, she was on the podcast with Paul Pierce, and I don't know the sister that hosted with Paul Pierce, but she was on that show, and Paul Pierce really started to hammer down on Dr. Bryant about her relationship status. Her relationship status. And what's crazy is, okay, so the podcast is called The Truth After Dark, with Paul Pierce and Azar. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, so the crazy thing is, so I went and like I said, I listened to some of the things that Dr. Bryant was saying. One thing that caught my eye was the fact that she said that women should not date men who have children with that have children, because that's a polyamorous relationship. Okay, so that's one thing that she said. All right, so it's like, all right, you understand what I mean? Because now she's trying. The ideology behind that is, okay, well, if this man has a relationship with the mother of his children, which he should, in a healthy way, not a obviously if they're working things out and they have a romantic relationship, that's something completely different. But if they're co-parenting, you still should have a healthy relationship with the parent of the child, whether it's the husband, the man or the woman, should have a healthy relationship. And what she's saying is, because you have that healthy relationship, you coming in now and wanting to be a part of this man or this woman's life, specifically you want to be a part of this man's life, now you're entering a relationship that includes not only the man, but the children and the mother of the children. And her definition of that is a polyamorous relationship. Her conclusion is that is a polyamorous relationship. And it's almost like, well, sis, there's nothing wrong with anybody not wanting to talk to somebody that got children. That's totally fine. You don't have to talk to nobody that have children. The problem is she is supposedly 41, 42 years old, promoting this to other women her age bracket or higher. And at that big old age, sis, it's not going to be very many men who don't have children. So the idea that you driving home into some of these women's head is that, especially at that age, because, you know, the older you get, the less choosy you can become. The older you get, the less choosy you can become. And the only reason why I say that is because the pool is getting smaller. See, the older you get, the slimmer the funnel get. See, when you was 20, let me bring my hand down. When you was 20, the pool was this wide. But see, when you get 30, the pool was this wide. You get 40, the pool this wide. You get 50, the pool this wide. You understand what I'm saying? Because as you matriculate through life, things is happening. When here you was single, partying, you ain't had no children. Now here you done met a couple girls, boom. You know what I'm saying? Now you done had children. Now you done have multiple children. Like, life is happening. Things is going on. So the older you get, the more life is lifing. And if life is lifing, then that means the pool of men are becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. So you essentially, and it's already more women that outnumber the men anyway. So because you got more women that outnumber the men, you have more women that are more educated by college degrees than men. You have women who are making more money than men. All of these factors are against the men right now. Now you're going to throw out no children because that's a polyamorous relationship. I believe was just not good advice to give to 40-plus-year-old women. That's it. I don't think that was a smart thing to say. You know, especially now getting into you being an example. Because that's what we want to get to. Because in the conversation with Paul Pierce, he begins to ask her about her relationship status. And she starts to say things like, well, she's been spinning the block. That's her words. She done spent the block. She been in a relationship, an on and off relationship with a guy that's 9 years younger than her for 5 years, but they're not committed. You see what I'm saying? She mentioned the fact that she wasn't vitamin D deficient. Y'all know what that means. And that she has more than one companion. She has a few companions. That's another thing that she stated. So now it's like, well, hold on, sis, how you are saying that number one, you saying that you want to be married. In the Cam Newton interview, she talked about how she want to be married. So how could you want to be married, but at the same time, you're not willing to get into a committed relationship? It's like, okay, it's not coming across the way that you intended it to come across. See, and one of the things that she mentioned in the Paul Pierce interview, as Paul was grilling her, and I like the way Paul Pierce handled the situation because you got to get to the root, man. You can't allow people. The problem is with our people is that we get enamored by people who use big words, who got extensive vocabulary. Oh, you got a doctor in the front of your name now, and you come giving some good information. It tickles our ear. It tickles our fancy. We get excited about stuff like that. And we don't really take the time to just listen to what people are saying and logically deduce from experience, logically deduce from the statistics and the actual facts of the validity of what this person is saying. So that's how our people continue to get hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, like Malcolm said. Because we ain't listening for what we need to be listening for. We done been amazed. We done been bedazzled by doctor or degree or financial success or material success. All these different things done blinded us from what we really need to be paying attention to. So when you listen to what Dr. Bryant is saying, it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. So let me see when it comes to when I say it doesn't add up, I'm talking about what her current situation is versus what she's encouraging other women to do. That's my whole thing. Let me see if this is it right here. Let me see. So that's that's where we at with that. Let me see. And this is why what happened with Dr. Bryant is what normally happens with people when you press them more and more about what it is that they're saying. That's normally what happens. So what happened with Dr. Bryant happens on a regular basis. Most people fall victim. You know what I'm saying, of exactly what happened with Dr. Bryant, because most people are living in a fantasy world, even of themselves. And what I mean by that is that most people have an inflated ego about themselves. And nobody wants to be real. So people create other personas of themselves, a false identity. And they put that false identity forward, thinking that that's what the people want. And that's what it sounds like when it comes to Dr. Bryant. She talked about her background growing up. She didn't grow up in a household where, marriage was on the forefront of the conversation. She wasn't a witness growing up to healthy, monogamous marriage. Right? Then, of course, growing up and going through the things she went through in life, going through trauma with different men and all of that kind of stuff. All of this stuff shapes and molds the character. So then she's talking about her healing journey and all those different things and how she works, on herself to be a better version of herself. And then Cam asks her about, okay, so who are some examples that you see, within your circle that you say, I want to, you know what I'm saying? I want to emulate that aspect of a healthy relationship. And she couldn't even answer the question. Her answer to that question was there's nobody who she wants to emulate. She wants to emulate herself. Now she has good relationships around, healthy relationships around. She said both single and married, but she's nobody that she wants to emulate. Now she does have a point with that because she talked about how you shouldn't want what other people have. Because the way Cam Tech framed the question, he said, do you have people in your circle that you want to be like, or, that have a relationship that you want, that you would like to have as well? And she was like, nah, I don't want anything that ain't mine. So we can agree with that. Right? Because what happens is when you get into, idolizing what other people have from the outside looking in, it may look sweet. It may look good. But the reality of the situation is that's not always the case. Most of the time, 95% of the time, I'm going to go out on a limb. 95% of the time, that's not the case. It's not what it looked like on the outside. Now, you got somebody that's solid, that tell you the real. And most people will tell you a real marriage with people, between two people that really love each other, it's going to have them times, them rough patches. But see, that person is going to tell you how you navigate those rough patches, because it's a constant development. See, when you become married, you are developing into a new person. And in the process of you growing and developing into a new person, the person that you are married to is growing and developing into a new person. And you all are going through the journey of life together and learning each other and becoming familiar with one another, and you looking to become complementary of one another. So there's always a process of observation And learning and teaching and reciprocation, all of those things have to happen on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis for you to be successful. There's going to be times you don't feel like going there with this person. There's going to be times you don't feel like dealing with this type of situation. There's going to be times where you have conversations that have to be had, difficult ones that you don't want to have. All of these different things. How do you navigate all of these different aspects? That's what I'm saying. It's work. That's why when they tell you marriage is work, marriage is work. So if somebody ever presents their relationship to you seemingly successful, and don't mention the work and the struggle and the sacrifice and the ups and downs and all of the things that go into it being successful, then you know they're capping you down. You know for a fact they're capping you down. So, but you only got a few people that's going to be genuine with you. That's my point. You only have a few people that's going to actually be genuine, be real enough to tell you this is what's going on. Talk about the sacrifice of being a wife, the sacrifice of being a husband. These are the things that they have to constantly do in order to be the best version of themselves for their spouse. Right? What does the work look like when you want to be a good husband? What does the work look like when you want to be a good wife? The sacrifices that have to be made in the communication arena, because that's one of the biggest things is the communication aspect. So you don't have many people that's going to keep it a buck with you and keep it real with you on stuff like that. So when you have those people, those are the people you need to tap in with. So I like when she said about that. When she said, "No, I don't want what nobody else have. I want what God has for me." And that's real. So that part is true. However, it's also equally true that within your circle, you need to have people who are doing the things that you want to do. You have to have people in your circle when they talk about business, entrepreneurship, finances, right? One of the things that they always saying is that you need to have wealthy people in your circle. You need to have successful people in your circle. You need to have people who have accomplished what it is that you look to accomplish in your circle so that you can draw and feed on that energy. So if you want to be married successfully, then you should have successfully married people in your circle who are real enough, transparent enough, solid enough to tell you the process and the blueprint and give you the knowledge and the wisdom so that you can become successful in marriage like them. Same blueprint. Same blueprint. So if you don't have that in your circle, that's a red flag as it pertains to your ability to accomplish what it is that you say you want to accomplish. And that's what we're going on with Dr. Bryant. Because it's like, okay, sis, how are you going to accomplish what you're saying you want to accomplish, but your circle don't have these people in it? You got some single people here. You got some married people here. You saying you drawing inspiration. You drawing things from all these different people. You dancing around the question. Because how are you going to become successfully married and you don't have that person that you can lean on, that you could draw from, that have accomplished what you haven't accomplished? And then Paul, let me see if I can pull the clip up though, because I want y'all to hear it for yourself too, because this stuff is interesting. See? Oh, hold on, I'm listening to it now. Hold on, Dr. Bryant. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Bam. Here we go, y'all. Check this out. Now, this is Dr. Bryant.
What's your situation right now?
What you mean situation?
Like,
Happy?
You got a man?
I'm dating. I'm single, but I'm dating.
Single but dating?
I am
Something serious
dating.
more than other?
No, just dating.
We gotta change because she's therapying us.
Yeah.
We gotta make this about her now.
right. You kind of therapizing us.
Yeah.
Paul's like, I want my woman to mommy me.
Hold on, like, hold on, what's going on with you? This is about you. You done flipped the script on us. We over here.
Reverse Uno.
Man, you sure did.
But it was good. It was
No,
insightful.
but we need to find out about what's going on with her. She dating, single.
dating.
What do that entail for a 42-year-old?
I am dating,
Dating but single.
enjoying my life. I have really good companions.
How many do you dating right now?
I'm not exclusively committed to anyone, but I have one guy that I have dated
she's
off and
stuttering now.
on
We
for
got
5
her.
years.
Got her.
We've dated for
Yeah.
5 years off and
So
on.
you was his work for 5 years? You been his work? You still his work?
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Paul.
I know what's going on now. I don't-
Yeah, see? So this is what I'm talking about. See, she's a psychologist, right? She's a psychologist that is, helping people through their trauma and dealing with people in their relationships. But sis not in no committed relationship. So this relationship piece is so nuanced. It's so important because the principles in relationships not only apply to romantic relationships, but they apply to interpersonal relationships, business relationships, all of those different things. So the fact that she's not in a committed relationship romantically shows that there is a lack of commitment when it comes to relationships, period. And then you are gonna then talk about how commitment is important. Understanding what you want, standing firm in your decision, all those different type of things. But she's not doing that. So just like she just said, she is single at 40-something years old and has many companions. She mentioned that. And then she got a guy that she's been dating on and off for 5 years. Right? That's what she said. So, boom. And we're gonna continue. All right, Paul. Let's go.
Take this sheep clothing off.
Right, the wolf teeth coming out. No, we
He
have
was
been,
somebody's work for 5 years.
we have been each other's companion for 5.
And what's funny is the co-host Azar, I guess, she like, hold on, wait a minute. We didn't know we was going this way. She looking at Paul. You know how sisters do. Sisters looking at each other. They trying to unite now. She trying to figure out like, damn, why you about to go in on sis like that? That's how she looking at Paul. Paul like, nah, she about to get this. Where's she going? Where's she going? Because we know her program and what she been saying to us for the last, because she was teaching them for an hour. This is at the hour and 10-minute mark. So she been going in for the first hour, about what people should be doing in their relationships, right? So now the tables done turn. See, one thing about them tables, they gonna turn. Now they turn, and let's see how she respond.
5 years. And yeah, I have spin the block for 5 years. And
Been the block
it's the
for
truth.
5 years.
And
It's crazy.
he doesn't like it. He's absolutely correct. He feels like I haven't provided.
Oh, your work.
We working together. We working together.
But you keeping them at bay. Or is he keeping you at
He
bay?
wants a relationship. He
And
wants to
you
be
don't.
committed.
You just like the sex.
No,
Oh,
Let's keep it 100. How you keep somebody for 5 years? That's like for real. You can't keep nobody at a distance for 5 years. I ain't never done no shit like that.
I am not vitamin D deficient,
No,
so
no,
everything
don't try to
is
show.
good in
No,
that
no,
department.
No. He
wants
is
a
kept him at bay.
relationship.
Boom. So as y'all can see, she admitted. She admitted that she is good in that department. She admitted that she good. So you know that she getting that work. So she done admitted that. So she admitted she not in a committed relationship, but she getting that work. Okay? Okay? But that's not what she tell the sisters to do. And that's the problem. See, there's nothing wrong with, as an adult, you doing whatever you want to do as an adult. She can do that. But when you have a platform and you leverage a platform around healthy relationships and you yourself is not engaged in a healthy relationship, then that's where the red flags pop up. That's all we saying. All I'm saying is you got to keep it real. That's all I'm saying.
She done kept him on the side until she figured out if it's something better. I see where this is going.
He just has some emotional maturity that he had to do. We're 9 years apart. He's 9 years younger than me. And so we both had to work through things, but he's had to work on his emotions and his intense insecurities around being in a relationship.
And you've been waiting on it. Like what's the problem? Why y'all not together?
Just because of that,
So you waiting on that?
No, I'm not waiting on it. And I don't have him waiting.
So the D is good.
oh.
Let's keep it. I mean, that's it's like, dude. Let's
He
let's
put
keep it
on
100.
his red pajama.
See? So as you can see, y'all, she not making no sense. Dr. Bryant ain't making no sense in this particular conversation now. She's not making no sense because she's saying that he has some emotional maturity that he needed to do around being in a committed relationship. Paul asked her, okay, so that's what you waiting on in order for y'all to get into a committed relationship. She said, no, I'm not waiting on that. Nor is she said that she making him wait. Meaning, when that means I'm not waiting, meaning, okay, while you get that together, I'm going to go do me over here. So that's where her multiple companions come in too. So now the multiple companions, because you ain't waiting on your main dude to get himself together, but you still sleeping with him. Huh? But you promoting women to be in committed relationships. And there's nothing wrong with promoting that. That's a good thing. You should. We want that. We want to have, strong family is the cornerstone for a strong nation. So we want to have strong, healthy, committed relationships. But you gotta be real about what you got going on. That's the whole point. And Paul, I like how Paul is pulling this back, these pieces of an onion. Because like I said earlier, our people get hyped because you got doctor in front of your name and you got a vocabulary, you can communicate and you can express yourself eloquently, and then people just miss all the BS that you be having. You know what I'm saying? There's not no attack on Dr. Bryant. This is just clarity. We just want clarity, that's all. Black people have had too many people come before us lying and scamming and stealing about what the truth is and what they represent. So we can see that coming a mile away anyway. We're going to sniff it out quick. In 2025, we know you capping us down. So why not just keep it real? And this is why the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, to me, is the standard. Because he has never came before the people and lied to the people about who he is, what he does, what he represents. It's always been the truth. Now, whether you agree with it or not is a completely different conversation. Whether you like it or not is a completely different conversation. But he has never lied about it. You never had to pull the sheep's clothing off of the wolf as it pertains to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And there are other examples. The minister, to me, is the prime example. But you probably have examples in your life, in your own personal circle, with your father or a coach or, a pastor that you grew up with, right? Who also can fit that bill. That is the standard in which we should be looking to hold ourselves to. That type of standard. Not going around here faking. Not going around here lying, putting forth a image that's not true. All because you're trying to gain some level of success, whether it be material, whether it be social media, whatever the case may be. But don't get on here and lie. So she is being exposed right now. And sometimes these things gotta happen. See, when you jump out there and you put yourself on Front Street like that, then these things are gonna happen. That's why when I hear a lot of people, and this is the language that Dr. Bryant used, a lot of women use, about emotional insecurity and, therapy and how they working on themselves, so they say, and how, men need to do the same thing. The problem is men, black men, men in general, they be lying too. Women will effectively go to therapy to they will acknowledge the mental illness that they have and try to work it out to a certain degree. Certain levels they're going to try. They will go to therapy, right? They will put forth the effort to try to get it done. A lot of black men ain't putting forth the effort. They just walking around with their mental health and mental illness just as raggedy as hell and not doing anything about it. But that's why the minister said that self-improvement is the basis for community development. Self-improvement. See? The basis for community development. So we can't be concerned about what another person's mental health is or what another person's emotional stability is. We should be working on self, because that's how the community is going to develop itself into a thriving community, a thriving family, a thriving nation, when everybody is focused on how they can better themselves, how they can get rid of the toxic traits and replace them with positive, healthy habits, how you can work to become a better version of yourself each and every day. And you look in the mirror and you say, I don't like that. I got to get rid of that. I got to get better. When you constantly doing that and the person that's next to me is constantly doing that, when we have interaction and conversation with one another and flaws, we are able to see them within another person, then you don't judge that person. You are more willing to help. You more empathetic. This go back to what we was talking about with President Obama. And as a man, you can become more empathetic and understanding, right? When you're going through the process of self-improvement. The problem is you listen to too many of these people on these podcasts like Dr. Bryant, and they talking about what somebody else doing. And then you come back into your relationship, gonna call yourself psychoanalyzing the person you with and their emotional instability. And then that's how the whole thing go downhill, because everybody focused on the wrong thing. Focused on the wrong thing. All right, Dr. Bryant, continue on.
And feel like he's supposed to get spicy tonight.
This is clear.
Oh my God.
I know her. She from Long Beach.
I'm
don't try to come
You
with
have a problem.
the suit jacket,
Yeah,
the
man,
boots. You still and the glow.
You know what I mean?
You still from Long Beach.
I'm still.
Not from Inglewood. I can see that.
I am from San Pedro, a small
Man,
community
nah,
in the
same
city of
thing.
Los Angeles.
I
Okay.
can see through all of that.
Yes, he has great qualities. He does well in all that he does with me. He just
That ain't what
emotionally
I asked you.
is.
I asked you about his job and all that.
He does well in all areas.
What's
Okay, she
going on?
answered that. He
No,
does
she
well in
did.
all areas.
No, he didn't. She didn't answer that. That's the problem. First, and then y'all can see Paul co-host right here clearly, like I said, it's Black Girls Unite. She is really looking at Paul. Look, she's looking at Paul Pierce like, bro, why are you doing this? Why are you exposing my girl? That's how she feeling. That's the look on her face. That's why she said, something is wrong with you. That's because she's looking at him like, yo, bro, why is you exposing my girl right now? But she, the co-host, she think the way that Dr. Bryant think. She probably liked Dr. Bryant a lot and probably is a student of Dr. Bryant. So see, now Paul is getting to the real. See, he teared down all that fancy vocabulary, all of that stuff they try to put out there in front of you to try to throw you off on what's going on. See, Paul locked in. And now he getting to it, and both of them is really stuck. And the co-host is just laughing because she's laughing, but she feeling bad for Dr. Bryant because Dr. Bryant is getting ate up right now. And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm saying she getting ate up because she's stuttering. She not as confident as she was earlier speaking on them other topics when she was discussing other things earlier in the podcast. Because see, now the light them been flipped on her. See, that's the thing about the light. That's why your grandmama used to say, what's done in the dark, come to the light. That's why when they say when you flip on, now I ain't never had no roaches. But they say when you flip on the light, the roaches is going to scatter, right? Because they don't want to be seen in the light. So that's the thing about that light. When it's on you and you got stuff in the closet, you start getting real shaky. So now Paul Pierce is hammering down on Dr. Bryant, trying to figure out, okay, so what's up? Why are you not in this committed relationship? And now she's trying to put it on. She's trying to put it on homeboy. Paul asked her, okay, so what's up? What you need in order for y'all to get into a committed relationship? She said he does well with me in all areas. What does that mean? If he does well with you in all areas, why haven't you committed to him? This is her answer.
Emotionally,
Well, I don't know. That's a broad question. What all
Paul,
areas?
you're
what?
a man, so you answer this question.
I answered.
Emotionally, he goes back and forth from I love you, I want to be with you, I'm mad because you won't be with me, you won't commit to me. And then his insecurities get the best of him, and it's like, I want you, but I'm not sure if I deserve you, I'm not sure that I can facilitate you, I'm not sure that I can be with you. So when I say emotionally instability, it's like him wanting to be with me is concrete. That's not unstable. His emotions in the relationship are just unstable to where as a man, you gotta get vertical within yourself before you can.
Now, sis, he is not emotionally unstable. You playing games. That's what's going on here. He's not emotionally unstable. You are playing games with that man. That's what you're doing. Because if you just said him wanting to be with you is concrete, meaning that he's committed to the fact that he want to be with you. But now you playing games, Mrs. I got these other companions, right? So now when he see you playing games, he addressing you about playing games. He like, yo, what you doing? Like, what we doing? Because I really want to be with you. So what's going on? Why can't we make this thing official? And she coming with the BS. Oh, well, you're not emotionally secure. You're emotionally unstable. Look how you acting right now. No, I'm trying to get vertical. In her words, I'm trying to get vertical with you. I'm trying to get some transparency out of you. I'm trying to get some stability out of you as to what are we doing. And you can't answer the question because you don't want to be stable. Uh-oh. That's what it's boiling down to. You don't want to be committed. So instead of just saying that, you want to be spinning the block for 5 years. In her terms, this is everything she said. That's what this is about. That's ultimately what this is about. And like I said, there's not no knock on Dr. Bryant if that's how she want to roll. But don't try to put all this in the lap of this man talking about he emotionally unstable and his emotional insecurities get the best of him. I mean, look, she just throwing it all on his lap as if she just sitting back waiting to be for commitment and he just running from it. when she just sat up here and told y'all that she got more than one companion and she's not vitamin D deficient and she been spinning the block for 5 years. These are the things that she said. So we about to wrap this up though on Dr. Bryant.
Be in a
Doc, you
relationship.
good with these
and
words.
I am.
You good with these words.
Listen,
because
but
you
let me
giving
say
all
this.
these people advice.
Let me say this,
wow,
Paul. He has every right to feel like what I've been doing as far as being in a relationship with him when I want to and not is not something that gives him stability. However, I don't want to commit to a relationship with a man who I feel emotionally is not in a place of being able to be in a healthy relationship.
So why are you messing with him? Why are you playing mental games with him?
I'm not playing mental games with
mental
him.
games.
It's not mental games.
Why
It's
you
all
still-
transparency.
Why is it still sex involved?
How do you
Why
know
is
we
it-
sexing? We could just be having a
Popeye se está poniendo sassy.
Cause you from Long Beach, I know.
oh my God.
You can't play me.
We
I'm
could
from-
not be
I'm
doing
from the
the
wood.
do.
I know what's going on.
But let me say this: it is transparent. He understands. I understand. I understand what he wants. He understands why I don't want to commit at this moment with him, which is the emotional piece that him and I talk about openly. I support him in it. I hold space for him in it. We've talked about it intensively, and he understands it. And he's
Come here.
that's what,
Sit. All right, let him off the leash. Go ahead.
Yeah, see, and we're going to go ahead and get up off that. But and this is the problem, because you got women that's running around here trying to do and say what Dr. Bryant just said. And it don't make no damn sense at all. I'm just going to tell you straight up, it don't make no sense at all. See, she playing games with this man. She is, like Paul said, playing mental gymnastics, going and talking in circles, using these big words. Because how could you say that he doesn't want to be in a committed relationship or you don't want to be in a committed relationship with him because of his emotional instability, but you the cause of his emotional instability? It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense at all. Dr. Bryant, says that she's not in a committed relationship with the guy that she's been dating for the last 5 years because of his emotional instability around commitment in their relationship. But she is the one who is the cause for his emotional instability, and the fact that she won't commit to him is why he has an issue with her. But it's his fault. And she says that she holds spaces for him and she talks with him. What are you talking to him intensively about it? It sounds like, and what this is, brothers, this is called manipulation. That's what this is. That's what this is. That's called manipulation. She don't want to settle down. And instead of keeping it real with the man and just saying that, she talking about she holds spaces for him in it, and she supports him in his emotional instability, and they talk about it intensively. What is there to talk about intensively about the fact that you don't want to settle down? And then why you want to keep talking to me about emotional instability as if I'm the problem? Because that's the way she just explained it. He's the problem. But I support him in him being the problem, and I try to help him out of him being the problem so that eventually we can get together and we can get into a committed relationship. Ma'am, it makes no sense at all. Thank you, Sister Menon. She gaslighting. That's all she been doing. She been gaslighting. Bruh said Corey Holcomb gave us the rundown. Yeah, bruh, she been gaslighting. That's all she does is gaslight. And like I said, I'm not gonna beat up on Dr. Bryant because she does give some good insight, some good advice on certain things. But again, the problem is when you become leadership, when you get out and you develop a platform, and a lot of people don't like this, but this is just what it is. When you get a platform, you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility, a fiduciary responsibility to be responsible, right, with the platform. And you become a leader by default. And when you become a leader or a person who is looked upon or a person who has influence, then you have to be responsible and accountable for that. And you have to set forth a good example. whatever your platform is built on, you have to set a good example. I mean, one thing about Charleston White is a good example of what he built his platform on. He's a good example of it. He don't shy away from it. Boosie, he built his platform. He is 10 toes in his platform. He don't shy away from it. He's consistent in what it is that he says and what it is that he does. So whether you agree with it or not, they are consistent in what they say and what they do. Because that's that platform, they have influence. That's what it is. You would never be able to say that they ever said one thing and did another thing. That's not how they roll. But then you got people like this who say one thing but do a completely opposite thing. So now you can be charged with leading the people and misguiding the people and leading them to slaughter. Since you are a shepherd by default, when you develop a platform and you have influence, you become a shepherd. You have a flock. Dr. Bryant has a flock. And if she's being deceptive, if she's not being 100% honest and transparent, then she can be charged with leading the flock to slaughter. That's just real. And we got to stop doing that. And we got to stop making excuses for people that do that. And like I said, you got a bunch of women out here that's repeating the same thing that Dr. Bryant is doing and trying to make it sound like that they are doing all of the work to develop themselves. But the reason why they're not in committed relationships is because the other person is at fault. And that's not the case. And as I said, we just got to be 100% honest in who we are as people. There's nothing wrong with what Dr. Bryant is doing, but the issue is she not being honest about it. She's trying to play people. Like Paul Pierce said, you can't play me. You can't play me. I know what's going on. So that's what's happening with that. Now the last thing I want to say is, you got the this brother in Jacksonville. Hold up. You got the brother in Jacksonville. There was a brother who was just recently pulled out of his own vehicle. And was detained by police and arrested for resisting arrest. All right. I'm going to read the article real quick, and then we're going to touch on this, and then we out of here for the night. We're going to touch on this, and then we're going to get out, and we out of here for the night. All right, so we're going to read this CBS article. It says, video of Jacksonville Sheriff's officer hitting man in face during traffic stop prompts investigation. I just saw this on social media yesterday, I believe it was, when the video hit online. It's been circulating yesterday and today. So it says a newly released video of a February traffic stop showing officers in Jacksonville, Florida, arresting a man after one of them broke his car window and hit him in the face has prompted an investigation into the officer's use of force. William McNeil Jr. posted the video he had recorded to social media on Sunday, saying he was pulled over on February 19th. In the video, an officer from Jacksonville Sheriff's Office tells McNeil he was pulled over because his headlights were off. McNeil, 22, tells the officer that other drivers also had their headlights off and asked to speak to a supervisor, and that's when things escalated quickly, as you can see, he wrote on Instagram. The video then shows an officer smashing McNeil's driver's side window, demanding he get out of the car and hitting him in the face. The officers then opened McNeil's car door and pulled him out. Okay? So, I'm not going to play the video on here. You can go and look at it on social media. Let me be clear. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Department is going to have to explain their policies, and they're going to have to explain how appropriate it is to drag people out of vehicles. We have been down this road before. We've discussed this with many people prior to William McNeil Jr. And you started to see people put out more videos on how we should deal with the police. There's one thing when interacting with the police and you completely comply with all of the demands or commands of the police officers and you are unjustly beat or even killed by police officers after doing everything in your power to comply with what they have asked you to do. So that we always gonna stand for justice, and we always gonna stand against injustice when the police officers beat, mishandle, and mistreat our people. They've been coming in our communities, beating, mistreating, assaulting, murdering us since our sojourn in America began 460 plus years ago as slave catchers, and then developing into sheriffs and police officers and things of that nature. So we understand the history that's there. What I don't understand is why we as a people refuse to educate ourselves and train ourselves on proper interaction. Because when it comes to your dealings with the police, especially as a black man, black people in general, but specifically as a black man, the number one goal you should have in your mind when you encounter the police doing a traffic stop is that I need to get home to my family. That should be your number one goal, is I should need to get home with my family. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught his followers and black people in general that it's important for us to clean up our lives. And specifically dealing with police officers, it's important that you are clean. Meaning what? You have no alcohol, no drugs. You're not committing any crimes. Tags good. License clean. Right? All of these things are important. So when you are pulled over by the police, you don't add any fuel to the fire that they already have. Why? Because the minister said that these officers, especially the white ones, are already looking for a reason to use deadly force. They're already looking for a reason to kill you, unalive you, delete you. Some of the white ones have that made up in their mind. They already have a predetermined idea that that's what they want to do when they pull over a black person. So you got to have that in your mind. Dr. Khalid Muhammad said, you are a soldier behind enemy lines. And you got to understand that you are at war. And when you are pulled over by the police officer, you are now being captured effectively and engaging with the opposite soldiers from the enemy. This is the mindset that you got to have when you're dealing with these people. And that mindset will help facilitate how you handle yourself during the traffic stop and engaging with the police. But our people don't want to get that type of training. What they do is they listen to these YouTube scholars and that tell you all about your rights and sovereign citizenship and the laws of the land and how we, being an indigenous people to the land, have rights that supersede the Constitution of the United States. I can't confirm or deny that. That's not my area of expertise. However, on the side of the road at a traffic stop, that's not the time to get into that. That's not the time to get into right and wrong, tribal law versus codes and constitutions. That's not the time to get into all of that. You can have your day in court when you want to have that conversation. You have the power of the pen where you can write to your local congressperson and your local council person, and you can have these conversations. Go meet with the sheriff on the off time and talk with him about these different things. But on the traffic stop, that's not the time to have them conversations. However, we always find ourselves in the situation, for the most part, where we want to now challenge the enemy when he has the upper hand at the wrong place at the wrong time, and then be outraged when we have these type of incidents that take place. Now, things like what happened with Breonna Taylor is absolutely wrong. Eric Gardner, absolutely wrong. Tamir Rice, absolutely wrong. George Floyd, absolutely wrong. You know, things that are just blatantly, completely, overtly wrong. Those are the things that we're going to push the pedal to the metal on. But when you're talking about, first of all of this happened over some headlights. This is what I'm saying. We don't even think. Your number one goal as a black man is to get home, bro. Not to sit up. Okay. All right. So we had to get back. I don't know what's going on with the stream. But I'm going to go ahead and close it on this, family, man. Appreciate you for checking in and watching us tonight. I don't know what happened to the stream. Yeah, but some kind of way the stream got interrupted or whatever. So, but we'll finish the conversation over on Instagram Live. We'll do that. We'll finish the conversation over on Instagram Live. Appreciate you all for watching and tuning in tonight, family. And as you know, I'm your host, Brother King Cam, and this is Shifting the Culture Podcast. Peace.